The next condition that I want to look at is called between. In other words, you say, is an expression between something and something? It's basically a range. You can apply a not to get a negative as well, and you can bracket the expression. And I'm going to take this and push it into the text file, because I may not have actually included these options, and I will actually create some examples against our local database just to show you it working. Essentially, between just says something is between something and something else. It's very simple, it's not complicated, but again I'm showing you step by step. So here is the general syntax: where expression, between expression and expression, which in effect between is actually the same as saying an expression is greater than or equal to an expression and less than or equal to another expression. In other words, the lower half of the range and the upper half of the range. Also note that it's less than or equal to, so it does include the elements at the end of the range check. So now let's explain this by example and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Let's take, for instance, these three examples to start with. I'm trying to arrange this file, which is your work file for this movie, as I type it in, so that it makes sense when you actually look at the file. So here I'm saying collect all the category rows where the category is between 1 and 10, inclusive. First of all, I'm going to pull the data from the category table just to show you what's there. Not that you haven't seen it before, but it puts it into perspective. So select star from category, and we have category 1, 13, all the way down to 34. Go and pick 1 to 10, and we go from 1 to 10. If I was to say greater than 0 and less than 11, I would obviously get the same result. And here we can see that between 1 and 10 finds between 1 and 10. There is some talk out there that between is actually faster than a greater than, equals, and less than or equals range scan. I have seen it working faster, but it may depend internally on how the queries are built in many other ways. That's Oracle tuning, and that's a later course, way down the road in an advanced course. Obviously, I'd also like to show you that you can do something like this, where you can take this thing here and pick out a section within the data. So let's say greater than or equal to 5 and less than or equal to 15. Hit return on that one, and then obviously you can find this row here, or this data, where category between 5 and 15, which should give me the same result. And I've got categories from 5 to 15. And I'm going to take this set of examples and paste it into the file. I'm going to do this and save it. And now we get to some slightly more interesting examples, where, for instance, this example here, first of all, I always like to show the initial data. Select star from show. Let's take these two sets here. Or two queries. First of all, read all the data. As you can see, we have a set of dates. They're not sorted. There's lots of them. Now I'm going to select between these two dates. And I should have anything between the 18th and the 22nd of August inclusive. In other words, from 18 to 22. So this query actually has the equivalent of the show date is greater than or equal to this. And we don't necessarily need to go through this detail anymore, but one more time just to make it clear. Less than or equal to. Same data, same result, same response from the database. Let's take this thing here and copy it in. I have one note here. Discuss Oracle default date display formats briefly. I have touched on this earlier in this course, but there's no harm in reinforcing it. Dates are stored actually internally as a Julian number, which is a number that is converted to seconds for a date, adding up the years, the months, the days, the seconds, the minutes, from a specific point in time. And all it does is it calculates the seconds, stores it internally. But when you send a date to Oracle and you say find between this and this is a date, it knows it's got to convert this to a date. This is its default format. This is a default format, but you can change the format with which Oracle interprets dates. This is a date field. If I was to put something in here such as that, it should give me an error. And it does, because it doesn't know what this is. But it can interpret this. If I change this to August 18, again it should give me an error, because it doesn't know what the date is, it doesn't understand it. There is a setting internally in the database where you can change the default format, but I wouldn't recommend it because all sorts of things could change, especially if you have any over-the-counter software. And we'll continue with the between comparison condition, or the between condition, in the next movie.